Kiss, they'll say Kiss is kind of they've made all sorts of issues out of that.
Everything they said about us is right. So, see, I can look at this microphone over here, and I say that that's a microphone. You, however, have the right to look at it and say whatever you want about it. That's what this country is all about. So,
but
there is no but. There is only the freedom to do whatever the hell you want to do. Oh, you can say heck, whatever you want to do in this country, short of stepping over your line of liberties and freedoms.
mm-hmm.
So if you try to stop me from doing what I want to do, I'll sue your butt off.
Okay, their position is they don't think that they should have their kids exposed to your lyrics.
Become better parents, do whatever it is that you want to do. In other words, their right of stopping other people from doing what they want to do stops when they leave home. You want to be a better parent? Be a better parent. You want to censor your kids? Do it at home. You come in the outside world, everybody's got a right to do whatever they want to do.
Hi.
And if you can look at us and think that we're anything but musicians...
We're not musicians. We're the kids next door. We're wrestlers.
Yeah, that's not what some wives in Washington say.
Well, they ought to know better because they've spent time with us.
When was that?
When the husbands were out of town.
That's right.
But they say they don't want to censor you guys. I've heard musicians say this is the first road down to censorship, they say.
I don't think anything's going to be censored. You know, one thing that people have to remember, and that's that this is America. And even though you may be a very vocal minority, you certainly don't speak for the majority. And this country is run by majority. And because somebody happens to have a big mouth or have a husband who holds a seat in the Senate is not a reason to have laws passed. I think maybe they should spend a little more time in the kitchen. Get their biscuits in the oven and their buns in the bed.
This is a pretty old issue, though, and, you know, you guys have been on the receiving end of a lot of criticism for years, it seems.
Look, this stuff is exciting for you because you've got something to talk about on the media. There's nothing new about it. There's nothing new from the days when they used to burn Elvis records because, for whatever reason, and Beatle records and on. It's going to continue, and that's okay.
Rock and roll, you know, what's real funny, I think it's great, is that the women who are making all the fuss grew up listening to Little Richard, you know, and maybe they're not a very good example because look how they turned out, you know. I mean, I'm not sure that it's a great example, but they listened to somebody singing Good Golly Miss Molly sure liked the ball, and they sure wasn't singing about dancing.
Are you guys parents?
Are we parents?
Not that I know of.
No.
If you were, would you want your kids to listen to, for instance, Wasp, or some of the
It
other...
doesn't matter what you want. You can try to control other people, even your kids. They're going to listen to what they want to do. And the more you try to prevent somebody, the more you try to censor somebody, the deeper in trouble you're going to get. That relationship between parent and kid.
See, I have a lot of faith in people. And if something's bad or objectionable, it'll fall by the wayside just because it's bad. You know, if you open a store up in a neighborhood that's not selling something that people want, it closes down. But if you don't give people the opportunity to buy it, then you're not letting people exercise their rights as Americans. And we are definitely Americans.
What's interesting is nowadays, next time I vote for a senator, I'm going to watch out who he's sleeping with, whether it's his wife or his girlfriend, because apparently now when you vote for a senator, you've got to also make sure that the girl that he's spending some time with doesn't have access to all this media. How did anybody, who the heck is Tipper Gore? Who are all these people? How did they all of a sudden get access to the media and become important people when 2 weeks before that they were just, you know, doing the dry cleaning and the housework and stuff? How did they get access? Why are they important all of a sudden?
The record industry's kind of kind of struck a deal.
The record industry hasn't done anything. The only thing the record industry has done is suckered the wives of the senators into believing that they've done something. When was the last time you went into a record store and saw a label on anything? All they did was stroke a bunch of people who really don't have the right to be stroked. But I guess we accomplished what we had to because the women walked away smiling, and we're still doing the same thing.
And how's this, what did you accomplish?
What we accomplish is we keep on doing what we do. We're a rock and roll band, and we keep on rocking. And the women now suddenly think that they got their way, so I guess everybody's happy. Nothing's really changed. Nothing's going to change. Rock and roll will outlive all of us.
What if your record company says, hey guys, you can say what you want, do anything, but we got to start putting labels?
Let me tell you,
Won't do it.
our record company is happy to have us on the label. And the day when they start telling us what we have to do will probably be the last day that they ever see us. I don't think that that's a record company's job any more than it's anybody's job to tell a painter what to paint.
What about concerts now? I've heard people say they want to put a age limit on concerts, you know.
Then I want the same limitations put on any any event. Football, basketball, boxing. I want a limit put on it because there are people banging each other up. You can look at a football game and look at it as a violent event. So I want to prevent certain people from seeing it. I don't want women seeing it because they're not supposed to. You know, it's endless.
You can always find something to pick on. I mean, us talking here, to me, is embarrassing because we shouldn't be giving this kind of stuff that much attention. But when you go to a hockey game and you see a bunch of guys hitting each other with sticks, or you go to a basketball game and somebody's knocking the other guy out, somehow Tipper Gore didn't mind that. Maybe she's looking at everybody's shorts. I don't know.
MTV. People say there are violent images being brought across on...
You ever watch the A-Team? You know, I mean, let's get real here. You know, I mean, if anybody bothers watching the A-Team or any one of those shows, you see a hell of a lot more violence in any of those shows than you'll ever see in a video. And at least a video that's out, everybody understands it's entertainment. You know, there's a lot of people walking around, I don't know, living off television, and television sure isn't any example for anything.
You know, the unfortunate part is that these people who aren't important all of a sudden are important because you guys think this is newsworthy. It's not. It's not newsworthy because the masses couldn't care less about it. These people mean nothing.
It's real interesting. You see, here we are talking about something, and at the same time we're also aware that it's totally unimportant, and that outside of maybe, you know, Tulsa or someplace like that, this doesn't get on page 37 of a newspaper because it doesn't matter and it's not important. And what somebody's wife has to say is no more important than what somebody else's wife has to say. Only maybe she's holding something over the senator's head, you know, and saying, if you don't do this, you don't get that. You know, I don't know. Who's to say? But it's certainly not an issue to give a lot of time to.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, for instance, right outside here, there were some church youth group members.
Well, they're allowed to do that. See? It's the free country. You're allowed to do that. They don't agree with our perception of what we're doing. I certainly don't agree with their perception of life and death and all the rest of that. But they're allowed to think the way they want to think, and we're allowed to think the way we want to think. Period. And when they try to stop us from doing what we want to do is when America stops being what it is.
Right.
I'm in no need to be saved. Thank you very much.